20 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering. Whether you are going to go out there and play some Dominaria Remastered at your LGS, or maybe, you're sitting around cubing at home because it's winter and it's chilly outside. Either way, we are here for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Meghan.
And on today's show, we are going to get you ready for said Dominaria Remastered event at your local game store, or if you get a box to play with your friends, by letting you know what the draft archetypes are and what some powerful cards are that you need to consider when you're making those pack one, pick ones.
That's right. These remastered sets encompass so many cards, especially Dominaria Remastered. 30 years of cards.
30 years of cards.
And so
it's almost as old as I am.
It can be really overwhelming to look at all these cards and wonder, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
What's some powerful stuff to do? Well, don't worry. We're going to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. We're also going to have a randomize for you and talk about, we have a story time.
Yeah, a little Brothers War story time.
Because
how about that?
we just finished the Dominaria story.
Yes.
And now we're on to Brothers War story. So we're slightly behind where we are IRL.
That's true.
But that's okay.
It's the only story that's out right now, though.
Yes. It's not
Soon
even
that
out.
won't be true. But
for the time being,
it is the only story that is out.
We are going to get you caught up on the story which currently exists in the world.
There you go.
Dominaria Remastered out on the 13th, BT Dubs, if you want to check with your store to see if they're holding any events. But before we dive off the high dive into a pile of Magic cards a la Scrooge McDuck.
Ooh. Man, who amongst us hasn't dreamed of Scrooge McDucking some Magic cards?
Are you kidding me? It's the dream. That is the dream of anybody who plays Magic the Gathering, is to Scrooge McDuck it into a pile of cards from a high dive.
All right, fair enough. I feel like you would not survive.
I think it would. Well,
I think physics are against you, and that the only reason it worked for Scrooge McDuck is because he and the coins are made of animation.
Because, if you packed that pool, you would definitely die.
You would die
on impact. But say you had just enough. Is there a number of cards you could fill the pool with so as that you would dive into them and maybe only emerge with paper cuts and not a broken spine?
I don't think so. I don't think that's the way it works.
Hey, if you out there are listening and you know how to solve this kind of problem,
please let us know. Please let us know how you could. Maybe, okay, I'm going to tell you what I think is your best case scenario. Yes, is to fill the pool half with Magic cards and half with water.
Oh, well, for sure that.
So it's just like cards in water.
Soup. You're describing soup.
It's card soup, and what you're diving into is card soup.
Okay, that would work.
I think so.
I don't even know how you'd go about solving this problem, quite honestly. Anyway, well, what I was trying to say is become a patron.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, patrons. You make the wheels in the bus go round and round.
Oh, yes.
All over town. And, we are so thankful for you for supporting our show here in 2023 as we get the year underway. You can become a member of our show. It's super simple over at patreon.com/GLHF Magic. There's a bunch of tiers that you can subscribe to. Even $1 a month gets you access to our Discord, which is a great place to hang out and talk about Magic.
Yes, and thank you so much to this week's 2 new patrons, Aaron and Steven.
Yay, Aaron and Steven, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aaron and Steven. This episode is for you. And as always, if you would like to claim a specific part of the episode, go over to the Discord and do that.
Yeah.
We'd love to know which part of this episode specifically is yours.
Our patrons on Discord also get to kind of give us info on what they'd like to hear us talk about on the show.
Yeah.
By the way, this show is inspired by one of our patrons.
Being like, hey, can we talk about Dominaria Remastered Archetypes?
Yes, we can. And we will.
Yes, we will.
So, if you're want to tell us what to do, become a patron.
And you can at least suggest it.
You can at least suggest it.
Yeah.
And so thank you.
What more are any of us doing than just suggesting our way through life?
It's so true. I mean, everything we do is a suggestion. There's no guarantee anything we do actually comes out how we're going to think it, comes out.
Every time I walk, I'm just suggesting to my legs that that's what they do, and it's turning out okay.
And then they actually do it.
Exactly.
But there's no guarantees.
No, there's
Even
not.
if it happened 100 times out of 100, there's no guarantee that it will happen on the 101st time.
So how about that?
That's philosophy
but
for
you. Is guaranteed?
David Hume. What?
This episode.
It is.
this episode. So if you appreciate things in your life that are guaranteed, consider becoming a patron so that we can keep bringing you episodes that are guaranteed.
We also want to say thanks to Card Kingdom. They're guaranteed for being great.
CardKingdom.com/GLHF, the best place to go for all of your card gaming needs. In fact, they even have a great blog with all sorts of tips and articles. And we're using one of their articles today to help talk to you about Dominaria Remastered Draft Archetypes.
You almost said United.
I did.
That's like what happens when we have a Dominaria set and then
so
another
many
Dominaria.
So much Dominaria.
You can buy a box, by the way, over on their website now. It's available for pre-order because we're recording this episode before the actual release on the 13th. So you can go to cardkingdom.com/GLHF, check out their new pre-order for Dominaria Remastered. If you need any singles, whatever you want. And also, like Megan said, their blog is an awesome resource too.
Great place.
And it's just a great place, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Maria, it is time for the randomizer. And I'm going to show you an art.
Great. I want to see it.
All right. Here you go.
Oh, sick. I said I wanted to see it, but did I?
No, you didn't. I'm going to say you didn't.
This art, what the heck? How do you describe? Well, okay, it's simple, but it's gross. There's a brain, everybody. I don't know what other way to put it. There's a giant brain, and it's being infiltrated, attacked, penetrated, if you will, by tentacles.
Yep.
That's it. That's what the art is.
It's gross. It's very gross.
Is this card?
It's really gross. I actually am
pretty
having
disgusting.
A hard time looking at this.
Is this card like something like like duress? Is this an alternate art for duress?
Oh, interesting.
Couldn't you see that being what it is?
Yeah.
If you tell me that's not what it is,
That's not what it is.
Okay, this card is called Brain Leech.
Okay.
Even though it doesn't look like a leech, it looks more like an octopus. Brain tentacles. I don't know. That's really literal. Mine's tentacles.
All right.
And it's a blue card, and you get to mind control one of your opponent's creatures, but they get it back in 2 turns.
Fascinating. You have the color right.
I nailed it.
The name of this card is Bamboozle.
No, it is not. That card is not named Bamboozle.
The art and the name are like a real mismatch here.
That is not a bamboozling what's going on there.
This is not how you bamboozle someone. You don't peel.
I
think it's the fact that it looks like their skin is literally peeled back.
Yes.
The
brain is out in the world.
And like tentacle their brain. Okay.
Oh, I'm being bamboozled. Stop tentacling my brain and peeling my head skin back.
Oh, we need to stop
what somebody would say.
I'm really not happy about it. Okay, sorcery. Target player reveals the top 4 cards of their library.
Oh.
You choose 2 of those cards and put them into that player's graveyard. Put the rest on top of their library in any order.
That card's really bad.
That
card stinks.
Very weird.
How much does it cost?
3 mana.
Gross.
It is from Odyssey.
I will never be thinking about that card ever again. Thanks.
Well, I would like to forget it immediately, so.
Bamboozle? That's so funny. That is, if you gave me 1,000 billion guesses and even a multiple choice, I would never have choose Bamboozle for the name of that card.
Yeah.
Anyway, to contrast, the art I'm about to show you is perhaps the cutest card I've ever seen in Magic.
I'm very excited.
I've never seen it before.
Oh my goodness. Okay. This is like some kind of tiny, very angry robot.
Isn't it so cute?
It's so angry. It has the biggest scowl. It's kind of like dropping in from above. It looks a little bit like it's a blimp.
Look at its top is a blimp. Back here.
I know. Like its top is a blimp and then it's just being like suspended by this blimp. Its arms are like 2 little drill arms. And I just can't emphasize how angry this little robot is.
It's like the face owls have. They're just always mad.
It's like ineffectively angry though. It's like, I'm so mad. And everyone's like, yeah, you're so cute.
Yeah, like, oh, good job being mad, buddy. Okay, what do you think this card is called and what it does?
Ooh, okay. I think that this card is called
Lil Buddy.
Exactly, Lil Buddy. I'm going to say Scowling Automaton.
That's cute. Yeah.
Scowling Automaton.
Great.
It's 2 mana for a 1/1 flyer. And when it enters the battlefield, you look at your opponent's hand.
Okay.
The end.
You have come far closer than I did on whatever the heck I called that stupid brain card. This is Hoverguard Observer.
Okay.
From Darksteel, everybody. It's 2 blue for a 3/3 drone. It's an uncommon flying. It can block only creatures with flying.
Oh, cute.
Cute little good card.
Yeah, great card.
The flavor text says it could be made to run silently, but its low hum reminds the Nurok that they are always watched.
Oh, dark.
Well.
Okay.
I don't know why he's so mad, though. There's no clue.
He's so mad.
There's no clue.
He's just an observer.
Maybe he just doesn't like observing people against their will. And he's like, kind of upset about
this.
I think this card is the cutest card I've ever seen. I'm obsessed with this card. Would this card exist right now? 3/3? Yeah, this would be the right rate and everything.
This is a card that I could see them printing again.
Okay, well, if you do Wizards of the Coast, please use the same art because
very cute.
I love him.
All right, Maria, let's get down to business with some Dominaria Remastered. Yes. For some Dominaria Remastered.
Yes, Dominaria Remastered coming out on the 13th. Like we mentioned, it's got 30 years of Magic under its belt and in its little packs, its little packies. The all sets from Dominaria, like 271 cards. It's basically like drafting a Dominaria themed cube.
Yeah. So one of the things to know about this kind of remastered set is that there are some strong archetypes, like some cool synergies that you can do.
Yes.
But it's a little bit more like you want to open each pack and evaluate the quality of cards in it.
Right.
You're going to get farther by being like, oh, this is, I think, the best card in the pack.
Yeah.
And drafting like that as opposed to really trying to force one of these synergies. Because there's a lot of value in here. Like a lot of them are value-based synergies, with the exception, of course, being Storm, which everyone was very excited to see. Very, very excited.
What do you mean by value-based synergy?
It means that you're going to want to do like classic things that are going to help you long term get more out of your cards than your opponent is. So cards that bring cards back from the graveyard.
Sure.
Stuff that draws you cards.
Right.
Creatures that have a little bonus attached to them. Stuff like that that's a little bit more card for your card.
Card for your card.
You just
this
want
card
more
is so
card for your card, yes. You want cards that are so card.
Wow,
because that's
a
what they're about.
The reason for this is because remastered sets and mastered sets are often much higher power level than you'll get in a normal Magic the Gathering set, which relies on, like you mentioned, synergy to make your deck more powerful. Here, you don't need to worry about that as much because the card's base power level is just already so much higher.
It's already quite high. Yeah. That being said, obviously, knowing the strengths of kind of the color pair that you're drafting is going to help you. Yes, it's going to help you pick those strong cards out of those packs.
Okay, do you want to start with some archetypes or do you want to start with some strong cards?
Ooh, let's start with some strong commons.
Like speaking of.
Yes.
So of course, rares and mythic rares are always going to be busted in a lot of these master sets. But commons is of course where your bread is buttered, if you will, in any draft format. So we're going to talk about the best ones that kind of jump out at you and you should take note of if you see them in a pack.
Yeah. So starting in white, obviously pacifism.
Hello.
Classic nice removal spell.
This is 1 and a white for enchantment. Enchanted creature can attack a block if you don't know pacifism. I want to call this out though because there's new art on this pacifism and what is happening?
It is a warrior who has taken off not just his armor, but all of his clothing down to his long underwear.
He's like, you know what? Screw
all
this.
Of it. He's like, do you know what? If I was wearing any shred of clothing besides my underwear, I would still be a warrior. It's gotta go.
It's gotta go. And he's off to a better life.
Yes, he is.
That's got to be the funniest pacifism art I've ever seen.
Yes. Next up, Nomad Decoy, also in white, is 2 and a white for a 1/2. It has white tap target creature, threshold, white tap 2 target creatures. Activate only if 7 or more cards are in your graveyard.
Threshold, wow.
Yes. It's just quite good. Again, a tap effect is excellent a pseudo removal essentially. And having that additional threshold ability where you can tap 2 things with a single creature.
That's nuts.
Is just
really
so good. Because especially it's going to make this card better in the late game.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can change what you need to tap. Like sometimes in a game you kill something and you're like, whoops, killed the wrong thing. Tapper don't have that problem.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. We've also got Phantom Flock in white. This is 3 white for a bird soldier spirit flying. It's a 0/0. When it enters a battlefield, it enters a battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. If damage would be dealt to Phantom Flock, prevent that damage, and then you just remove a +1/+1 counter instead.
I mean, it's just nice.
That's annoying.
Exactly. It's a flyer that if you try to trade with it, your thing dies and it doesn't.
Ugh.
It's aggravating. And again, one of the powerful things that you can do in these, especially in these remastered sets, which are a little bit more old school, is that like flyers are just good.
Yes.
Flyers are good. They're a good way to close out the game.
It's good. Let's talk about some commons that are above the bar in blue. First off, you can't not mention it.
You can't scoff at it.
Man of War.
2 and a blue, 2/2 jellyfish. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature to its owner's hand.
Why is this card good, Megan?
It's just some classic tempo.
This is what they call value right here.
Exactly. This is a lot of card for your card. You're getting a 2/2 creature for 3, and you're getting a bounce spell.
Yeah.
That's 2 card.
That's 2 card.
2 card.
1 card.
1 card.
2 card, 1 card.
2 card, 1 card.
Don't Google
it's
it.
Pretty good.
But think about it. This jellyfish can return something that's way bigger than himself.
Exactly. Maybe your opponent spent a bunch of mana. Either way, you're basically just rewinding their last turn.
It's great.
So rude.
Speaking of rude, how about Counterspell?
Blue, counter target spell.
It's in the set.
It's a classic. It's incredible.
Get in the deck.
All right.
Just 2 blue mana.
Yes.
Avon Fisher is in this set, which if you don't remember this card, 3 and a blue for a bird soldier. It's a 2/2 flyer. When Avon Fisher is put into a graveyard from play, you may draw a card.
Once again, it's a flyer, so it's getting that job done. And when it dies, you get another card back. So much card for your card.
Card for card.
Card for card.
Literally card for card. Let's talk about black. So Terror is in this set.
Yes. 1 and a black instant Destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. It can't be regenerated.
It's really good.
Wow.
It's like Doomblade.
It's so fast. It's so fast.
It's so fast.
It's so fast. It get you good.
That art is horrifying on this Terror as well.
Yes, it really is. Ichor Slick is just another great removal spell. 2 and a black sorcery. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. It has cycling for 2 or madness for 3 and a black.
Fabulous.
So just lots of value in there.
And here's a card that we have seen recently, which is in this set, but this is kind of just like FYI, Phyrexian Rager. That's card for your card there.
Yeah, card for card. 2 and a black for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose the life.
There you go.
Nice.
Card for card. In red, these kind of inclusions are not going to surprise you, but Chain Lightning.
Yep. Red mana, deal 3 damage. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Solar Blast. Again, another 3 damage spell. This one's 3 and a red. Instant. Deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Cycling for 1 red.
That's great.
When you cycle it, you may have it deal 1 damage to target creature or player.
Flexibility.
Also great.
And
exactly.
In red, that's something that you sometimes need.
Yeah. If there's something that you can ping for 1, once again, you're getting card for card.
Yep. Goblin Matron is here in red too, which is another great example of a value card.
Yes.
She's 2 in a red for a 1/1. When she enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a goblin card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And it also,
card for card.
It's a card that won Flavor Text of the Year, I believe, when it came out. A mother only a child could love.
I think so.
It's great.
So
A plus.
good.
A plus.
Yes.
In green. Just Value Town USA here.
Yep. Werebear, 1 and a green for a 1/1. Tap, add green. Threshold, it gets +3/+3 if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard.
Speaking of good flavor text, Werebear's flavor text is he exercises his right to bear arms.
I think that might be a Mark Rosewater original, right?
Yeah, it does
That's the
seem
story.
like it.
I think so. Penumbra Bobcat, 2 and a green for a 2/1. When it dies, make a 2/1 black cat creature token. Card for card.
How many times do you have to say it?
How many times do you have to say it? Card for card.
I love this next one. Kavu Primarch is in this set, which is 3 and a green for a 3/3 with kicker 4. Convoke, so this has Convoke.
Yes.
As well, so your creatures can help cast this spell. If it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters on it. That's absurd.
It big.
That's 7.
It big, it
power
cheap.
and toughness.
Exactly.
For 4 mana.
It big, it cheap, your creatures can help cast it.
Yeah.
Him big.
Excellent. So those are some of the commons we want you to look out for when you're drafting Dominaria Remastered, because they're just gonna push you over the edge.
Exactly. They're just good cards. It's good removal.
Yep.
Or it's just good value.
Yeah.
And those
so
are two.
Keep those words in your mind when you're playing this. Value, card for card.
Card for card.
Let's talk about the draft archetypes.
Yes.
In this set.
All right, kicking it off with blue-white. This is the classic flicker archetype in blue-white. It has the uncommon Sawtooth Loon, which, being a Minnesotan, we can say this is not a loon. Just like PSA.
Just like FYI.
PSA, if you're wondering what a loon looks like,
it's not like this. This looks more like
not like this.
Puffin of some description.
Or like a, what's the big one I'm
Heron?
thinking of? Yeah. Nope, keep going. Pelican.
Pelican, yeah, okay. Pelican.
2 white blue for a 2/2 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, return a white or blue creature you control to its owner's hand. When it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on the bottom of your library. Great.
Yeah, so that's value right there.
Yeah.
We've been talking about. And then, of course, we've got to have momentary blink if we're talking about blink and flicker effects in white and blue. This card is basically the name for why we just call stuff blinking. 1 and a white, an instant. Exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control, and it has flashback for 3 and a blue.
Oh, man. Like, you could blink your loon.
Blink a loon.
And then your loon come
blink.
back, and then loon blink something else?
Yeah.
Wow.
Setting yourself up for success here in blue and white with a bunch of stuff that you can return. I mean, like we talked about Mana War already.
Yep.
So
you could just recast your own Mana War again.
Yeah, that's what I'm definitely doing.
Nice.
You can flicker a card like White Mane Lion. Do you remember this little friend?
Yeah.
You can, which also then chains your flicker effect, because when this enters the battlefield, you return a creature you control to its owner's hand.
Amazing.
So like you can just keep going. Like it can get very silly very quickly.
So you want to pick up lots of stuff that has enter the battlefield triggers.
Yep.
And then stuff to make sure that you can bounce them or flicker them.
Wow. Nice. I'm so excited for that. That sounds very, very cool. In white and blue.
Next up is black-white life gain and loss. So this just has lots of things that help you gain life, or you can pay life for bonuses on them, like Gerard's Verdict, white-black for a sorcery. Target player discards 2 cards. You gain 3 life for each land card discarded this way.
Ooh.
And Phyrexian Scuda, 3 and a black for a 3/3. Kicker, pay 3 life. If it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it.
So gain your life so that you can use your life.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
Like classic, like Phyrexian Rager, we just talked about. You lose a life when it enters the battlefield. There's Flesh Reaver, which is 1 and a black for a 4/4. When it deals damage to a creature or opponent, it deals that much damage to you.
Nice.
So it's like a powerful card that also can have a really big drawback if you don't have a plan for gaining life.
Yeah, so if you happen to see a lot of these life gain loss cards going around the table, think about black-white, life gain, life loss.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Next up, we're talking about white-red auras and enchantments.
Oh,
Maria.
Excuse me, what did you say? Yes, this is the archetype that I would be most excited to draft 100%.
I mean, it has our good old buddy Valduck, Keeper of the Flame, 2 and a red for a 3/2. Loved this card. At the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduck, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step.
I love it. Load up your Valduck. Just load up Valduck, and then just get all of your fabulous little 3/1s. It's so fun.
Yeah, obviously you have Mesa Enchantress, which is 1 white. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card.
I mean, obviously
so powerful. Tiana, Ship's Caretaker. This is also in original Dominaria with Valduck.
Absolutely.
3 red-white for a 3/3 flying first strike. Whenever an aura or equipment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step.
Tiana was always a card I wanted to play with more, but it wasn't really good in Dominaria, so like we didn't.
It was good for being legendary, but it wasn't good for its ability,
right.
really.
Its ability didn't really. So I'm excited to see if it has a home here to be able to get some more play, because what a fun idea.
Yeah.
White also has access to Auramancer, by the way.
Great.
Which, when it
Very
enters
powerful.
the battlefield, you can return an enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. So even if your creature gets killed or whatever, there's ways to recur your enchantments so that you don't.
Or if you played a pacifism and your opponent did something like sacrifice the creature with it or destroy the pacifism, you can just get it back and put it on something new.
I love it.
Nice.
So yeah, red white's where my happy place is here in this draft format for sure.
Next up is white green Threshold.
Speaking of Threshold,
so yeah, this is Threshold again, is the ability where or the mechanic where if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, then you get some kind of bonus.
Yes.
It's a keyword. So for instance, there's Mystic Enforcer.
Sorry, I just needed to get a close up look at this art.
Is it what I think it is? It's a cat head. It looks Mystic Enforcer looks like it has a cat head.
It's so cute. How many cute cards are we gonna see today?
I don't know.
That I didn't know about before today. What a great day.
It's so weird. It says Human Nomad Mystic, but this is
a
big
cat head, right?
It's a cat head.
Whenever I look,
we're looking at a cat head, Maria. You can't tell me it's not. I had the same reaction when I first saw it.
I mean,
it must be.
Somebody's like going to tell me it's just a helmet, or and I'm like, why does it have two little cat ears?
It has 2 cat ears. Okay, 2 green white for a 3/3 protection from black. As long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard, it gets +3/+3 and has flying. I mean, that like a 6/6 flyer if you have Threshold. Jeez.
I'll take it.
It is worth noting that there's like not as much stuff that puts cards in your graveyard right away.
Yeah.
Which sometimes green gets those, right? Like we most recently had the cycle in Brothers War where the cards that when they enter the battlefield, you mill 3 and can return something or not.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Or there's even just been in the past green cards that when they enter the battlefield, you mill some number of cards. There isn't a ton of that to really help you with Threshold. So it's kind of hard because then you're playing more of a mid-range game where you know that these cards will accumulate that value later because you will just naturally end up with 7 cards in the graveyard, as opposed to being able to like basically like turbo Threshold something and on turn 4 play a 6/6 flyer.
I think the way that you're going to be able to do this, if you're able to get this card, it's uncommon, is Millikin, which is 2 colorless. You tap to mill a card and you add colorless mana. It's a 0/1.
Yeah.
So that is a way to be on the lookout for that card specifically if you're drafting Threshold in green-white. But like, yeah, it's not going to be as easy as some other stuff that we've seen in the past.
Exactly. If there's stuff that you're looking for to like help cycling cards, obviously.
Yep.
Help they get themselves into the graveyard.
Very true.
So keep an eye out
Very
for that.
true. All right, how about this archetype? Classic blue-black control.
Yes. Yes, please.
Let's talk about it.
You've got cards like Recoil, 1 blue-black for an instant.
Sorry, this art.
No, I know
what
this
is
art
happening?
I have no idea. Return target permanent to its owner's hand, then that player discards a card. I mean, hot.
There is a golem or something entering somebody's brain forcefully.
It's like a ghost.
A ghost, yes.
There's like a ghost. It looks like a ghost is headbutting a man.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
What a great day for our magic art today, everybody.
And then Thieving Magpie, 2 blue for a 1/3 flyer. When it deals combat damage to an opponent, draw a card.
Sick.
Great.
You don't even need to put an aura on that bird. It just give you card.
It just give you card. Of course, you're going to have lots of removal to make sure that it gets in. You'll want to get lots of card draw. To help you out, because that is the way that control sustains itself. You can't just card for card your opponent. It's not going to get you anywhere.
We already mentioned a card like Terror that exists in black, which can kill basically anything. And there's fabulous draw spells in blue, like Deep Analysis, which is 3 in a blue for a sorcery. Target player draws 2 cards. Flashback is 1 in a blue, pay 3 life.
Amazing.
Deep Analysis.
Great. Yes.
Yeah, that's one you're going to definitely want to give yourself the leg up on card advantage as you're trying to deal with your opponent's threats.
Next up is an archetype that everybody's excited about, and that is Storm.
People love drafting Storm.
Warning.
What are you saying? Don't do it.
Do it. But I'm just gonna warn you, if there is anyone else at your table
You will not
drafting
get it.
it will not work out well for either of you.
It will not.
Because you need to be the person.
The only one.
You need to be the person.
Have you successfully drafted Storm?
Never in my life, but I hope to someday.
Me either. I've tried for
I
sure.
have
but
certainly tried in like the Vintage Cube.
Vintage Cube, I mean,
But you know what?
it just didn't come together.
It didn't work out for me.
I even had, I had the stuff. I had the tendrils, blah blah blah. But it's got to be absolutely perfect. It's like one of the hardest. That's probably why people like to draft it, because it's such a challenge to try and actually get something that comes together and actually works.
Yes. But there is Grape Shot in here, which is a classic finisher for Storm. There's Empty the Warrens.
Yeah.
Which is a classic finisher for Storm. And then once again, you just need lots of like cheap ways to draw cards.
Cantrip yourself.
Yes, exactly. Frantic Search is in this, and it's a classic 2 and a blue instant draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, untap up to 3 lands. Like, great. That's what you want to be doing. You just want to be frantic searching essentially like into infinity.
Yes. There's support cards like Snap, which is 1 and a blue instant return target creature to its owner's hand. That's a great card, period. And then you untap up to 2 lands. So you're casting this, you're bouncing a threat, you're untapping your lands to cantrip yourself again, draw more cards, add to your storm count.
Yep, exactly. Yes, once again, it's stuff that doesn't cost mana or that you can get your mana back from, like Skirk Prospector.
Yeah.
Is, a classic that we see a bunch of. Cloud of Fairies is another one. This is 1 and a blue for a 1/1 flying. When it enters the battlefield, untap up to 2 lands.
High Tide is in this set too, which is a single blue for an instant. Until end of turn, all islands produce an additional blue mana when tapped. So that's another way to do it.
Very important.
But like we said, our huge caveat is it's like extremely difficult.
You kind of need to be the only person because you need the finishers and you need the stuff like High Tide or Frantic Search.
Right, and your storm count's got to be high, right? And then you also have to be able to draw or have in your hand your finisher, Empty the Warrens or Grape Shot, right? Yeah. So it's difficult, but if you can do it,
it's so cool.
There's nothing like it in all of Magic.
It is cool in a kind of unparalleled way.
Up next, we've got Green Blue Ramp, classic thing that Green and Blue want to be doing. You've got Tatiova of Benthic Druid here. How can you have a Dominaria set without Tatiova? I
love Tatiova
you just
so
can't.
much. This Tatiova is one of my favorite cards ever.
Yeah, for sure it is.
3 green blue for a 3/3 landfall whenever a creature enters, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Oh,
she's a thing of beauty.
So amazing.
Beautiful druid.
And then you just want you want to make sure, you have to have the right mix, always in ramp. The importance is to have the right mix of payoff cards, like Confiscate, 4 blue, enchant permanent, you control enchanted permanent, and ramp cards.
Right, exactly. So you want to have your payoffs and your ramp offs.
Your payoffs and your ramp offs.
Even Fate Shift. Oh my gosh, I almost said something bad. Fate Shaper is in this set. 6 and a blue for a 4/5 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library and then put them back in any order. 4 and a blue, look at the top 4 cards of your library, put them back in any order. It's a pretty cool big flying bird that you can play with. So that's a sweet ramp payoff. In addition to something like Tatiova or Confiscate.
Ooh, Confiscate.
4 blue, enchant permanent. You control enchanted permanent. Yep. Pretty sick. So those are the big payoffs you're looking for in green blue. And then, of course, the cards that support that help you ramp like Wild Growth.
Yeah. Next up is red, black, goblins and zombies.
Yay! I mean, classic.
Yep. Drawl News Crusade, 1 black, red for an enchantment. All goblins get +1/+1. All goblins are black and are zombies in addition to their other creature types.
Okay, that's sick.
Nice.
I really like that.
I also love Dedapult.
What a 1 card name of the year, the year it was printed.
2 and a red, enchantment, red, sacrifices a zombie, Dedapult deals 2 damage to any target. Great. Really incredible.
Oh my god. Okay, so in an archetype like this, you've got goblins, you got zombies, you've got goblin lords, you've got zombie lords, you've got things to do with sacrificing your creatures and getting value out of things like that.
Yes. Some of the important stuff to think about is like how are you going to make sure that if something like flooding happens or the game goes kind of long, how are you going to go wide and get through, right? Obviously, Dedapult helps. It doesn't matter if they have a bunch of blockers. You can just to their face.
Just Dedapult them.
You can just Dedapult them. Zombie Infestation. This is 1 and a black for an enchantment. Discard 2 cards, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So later on in the game, if you're flooding out, just hold on onto those lands and dump them.
There's great payoffs for sacrificing cards in this archetype. Phyrexian Ghoul is in this set. That's 2 and a black for a 2/2. Sacrifice a creature. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn. There's no limit on how many times you can do that, by the way. We mentioned Skirk Prospector earlier, which helps you power out various other cards. Siege Gang Commander is a notorious great payoff for this archetype. That's the 3 red 2/2 gob. When it enters the battlefield, you make 3 1/1 gobs, and then 1 in a black, 1 in a red. Sacrifice a gob, deals 2 to any target.
Nice.
That one's like the
also
probably
great.
The big boom gob daddy. Probably.
Big boom gob daddy.
Yeah.
Next up is green black. It's just a classic mid range, classic solid mid range deck.
Green
you want
black
value.
mess around.
Value.
What about a card like this? Spirit Monger. 3 green black 6/6 beast. Whenever it deals damage to a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Black, regenerate it. Green becomes the color of your choice until end of next turn. The card's stupid.
That's just like.
That's
what are
like
you supposed to do?
Beat in the head with a rock.
Exactly. What are you supposed to do?
I have no idea.
What are you supposed to do? Phyrexian Ghoul, 2 and a black,
pacifism.
2/2, sacrifice a creature. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Just go and do your thing.
We mentioned that in the previous archetype. Good in this one too, because you're going to have a lot of access because you're going to have the black overlap here into this one. We mentioned Penumbra Bobcat earlier when we were talking about our value cards. That's in green. So that's one, of course, that you look out in the green-black value archetype. There's a card like Gamekeeper, which is 3 and a green for a 2/2 elf. When it dies, you may exile it. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield.
Nice.
And put all other cards revealed this way into your graveyard. Dumb. And then, of course, access to excellent removal like Terror and a card like Dark Withering.
Nice.
Which kills non-black creatures.
Finally, we've got red-green cycling. I love me cycling,
Cycling is just like basically you get an extra good thing included in your deck.
Yes, exactly. And this archetype specifically, right? Sometimes cycling is just like getting good value from cards.
Yeah.
But in this instance, like great cycling decks need a payoff for cycling. And in this case, we have Lightning Rift, 1 in a red enchantment. Whenever a player cycles a card, you may pay 1. If you do, Lightning Rift deals 2 damage to any target.
I'm sorry, but if I open this in a pack, I'm doing this.
I'm going to high five myself.
That's so cool.
And then absolutely draft it. It's so cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, some people would say the payoff for cycling is cycling itself.
Yes, exactly. It's like the emotional satisfaction from cycling.
Right.
The act of cycling is enough to make you happy.
You did
and feel good about cycling.
But if you have Lightning Rift, well, you'll also win the game.
You also get a technical
That card is sick.
Yes, exactly. Do you know what? Think about it. Maybe you would even draft cards that aren't in your color pair that have cycling for colorless.
What? Get out of town.
Like Radiance Judgment, which is usually 2 and a white instant, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, but it has cycling for 2 generic mana.
Just draft it.
Just take it. You can just cycle it.
What's cool is there's also this card in the set, Street Wraith, which has cycling, which is pay 2 life. So you don't have to do anything.
Exactly.
No mana required.
No mana required.
Hey, this archetype seems cool.
This archetype seems sick. All right, Maria.
Yes.
That is all the archetypes. Which one are you most excited to draft?
Well, I did say that I wanted to draft the red-white auras deck, so I'm going to say that. But also, man, with this cycling deck, though, that Lightning Rift card seems so fun.
I know.
That might just beat it out.
I think that my answer is the cycling deck because I want to Lightning Rift into a win.
Okay,
I want to Rift a win.
There's another cool cycling payoff card that exists, by the way, besides Lightning Rift, which is Invigorating Boon.
Ooh.
So if you want, you can do it in green too, which is 1 in a green enchantment. Whenever a player cycles a card, you may put a +1/+1 counter on target creature.
Oh, nice. So you can just get out a couple of creatures and then once again use this.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay. Red-green cycling is my answer.
Red-green cycling. This one seems
obviously
cool.
the dream is to draft a storm deck, right?
Yeah, that's a generic dream.
But it's so hard. And cycling just seems pretty sick also.
I mean, we love a good build around uncommon.
Yes, we do.
And these two are so sick.
Yes.
Like,
they really are.
what can your opponent do?
Imagine a deck that is these and just all cycling. Every single thing
You're
cycles.
gonna find them because you're cycling.
You're cycling.
I don't know.
I'm very excited.
There you go, everybody. There's your primer on how to draft Dominaria Remastered. We hope you head out to your local game store and check it out this week.
Let us know in the comments if you drafted one of these archetypes or which one you are most excited to try drafting.
Absolutely. They seem super fun, everybody.
Yeah.
We hope you have a great time and relive some of Dominaria's history. 30 years. Remember, almost. Wow. I'm like almost there. I'm almost 30.
You're so close. You're so close, Maria.
Almost as old as I am.
Wait. That means that you're over 30. You know, works either way.
It's time for story time with Megan.
All right. So we're starting out with episode 1 of The Brothers' War, The End.
The War. Oh.
Yes. Episode 1, The War. No, because Maria, this is actually after the war.
Oh.
We are 5 years after the war between Mishra and Urza that ended with like an enormous explosion that essentially ended the world.
And when did that happen?
69 AR is 5 years after.
I wasn't expecting an exact answer like that.
Well, there you go.
Wow. Okay.
So 64 AR was the end of the war.
Okay. After Reconstruction?
I don't know. To be fair, I don't know. So, right, there was like an enormous, all that we really know in this instance is that there was an enormous explosion. And I mean, like, it caused a total global shift in environment for them. It collapsed cities completely. It caused enormous tsunamis that just obliterated coastal regions. Because of all of this, like it fundamentally messed up like the weather cycle so that now coastal regions that didn't used to have winter are having longer and longer winters. So it's like, right, everyone that's left over after the world ended, right? Yeah, we're still now Pendragon, which is one of these cities, where Caleb and Krug, former princess of the city of Krug, which fell during the war, she is reigning over this one of the few remaining cities, Pendragon. But stuff is bad, right? Like soldiers every once in a while are trickling back from like the long lost battlefronts.
Yeah.
But it's hard to grow anything because once again, winter is just longer and longer and there aren't that many laborers and everyone's overworked and stuff is just hard. And Kayla's just kind of like, everything is bad. And we're just kind of like slowly, we survived the end of the world, but now we're just slowly declining into the true end of the world.
Do you want to know
what it feels like?
AR stands for?
What?
I found it. It stands for the Argivian Reckoning.
Oh, well,
it is the primary calendar used on Dominaria. It sets the year 0 as the year in which both Urza and Mishra were born.
Oh, that makes sense.
It came into use many years after the time of the brothers and was used informally for several thousand years before an attempt was made to clarify historical facts.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So Caleb and Krug, BT Dubs, used to be married to Urza, or it was married to Urza before he ostensibly maybe died in the war.
Right.
Although maybe he didn't. We'll get into that. But anyways, they had a son, or she had a son, also died in the war.
Okay.
She mad about it.
Well, yeah.
As you would be. She mad at Urza. Tanos, who was Urza's like apprentice, essentially, for a long and very good friend for a long time, comes back at the beginning of the story, and she's like, we all thought you were dead. And he's like, I'm not. Surprise, I'm not. And he's like, hey, you obviously need help. And I can make like these mechs, the mechs that Urza and Mishra made were designed for war, but I can make civil versions of these mechs that can help do work.
Oh.
Because obviously, right, things are failing.
Yeah.
Yes. So I will make these civil mechs for you. And Kayla's like, just so we're clear, like everybody's mad at Urza and Mishra for ending the world. I'm mad at Urza for ending the world and for getting my son son killed.
Look, there's a lot of reasons to be mad at people, but ending the world is probably number one on the list.
But she's like, fine, Thanos, if this will actually help like save my people in the present, you can do it.
Okay.
And they're like, okay.
I feel like this can't end well, but all right.
And also, Thanos at one point is like, BT dubs, Urza isn't dead, but he different now. I don't know what that means. That's paraphrasing, but he's not dead, but he different now. And Kayla's like, I don't want to know. He's dead to me.
Yeah.
So
fine.
Good enough. Okay. So we fast forward, like months later, and it's finally spring. And sure enough, they have some of these civil mechs now, and stuff is starting to regrow. The mechs are helping to rebuild the wall. But Kayla's scouts are like, there is an enormous march of people coming. And we don't know what they want or what their purpose is, or if they're warriors. Some of them are certainly equipped for battle. But we don't know what their deal is. It's like 100,000 people in this marching column. And they're going to arrive here in a few months.
God, you didn't have cell phones. You couldn't just call them.
You could just call them and be like, what are you up to? And they'd be like, this is what we're up to. So anyways, this huge column arrives outside Pendragon.
Okay.
And it's some people that Kayla knows, or like some of them that she has seen from before who served in the war.
Yeah.
And the ones who are leading them, there's like a lot of, like civilians essentially in there, like elderly people and kids and stuff. But there are warriors, and some of them come and they have like a little meeting with Kayla, and they're like kind of like zealots who are like, we must destroy all the machines in the world. We've already been to these other two cities and quote unquote like liberated them from machines, because machines were what the war was fought with, right?
Sure. So they're mad about it.
Exactly. They're real mad about machines, and that makes, to be fair, the machines did some really awful stuff.
Hold on, I just put it together in my brain. You're talking about taking these machines, turning them into fun like crop. They're doing crops. They're making walls.
Exactly.
But you know what? A set coming up is called
what?
March of the Machine.
Uh-oh.
I'm worried that they're gonna get up and have their own uprising and be like, we don't want to put up your walls. Maybe we want to relax on the beach with a Mai Tai.
We'll
kill
see.
Everyone.
Although to be clear, this is way, way, way in the past.
Okay.
Of present Dominaria in this area. This is way in the past. So yeah, they're like, hey, we just want to like trade with you. Like, will you help trade with people so that we can continue our march? We're going to the Iron Tower, which was like this tower where Urza did all of this work, and we're going to tear it down. And Kayla's like, yes, you can trade with us. That's fine.
But just don't look at the machines.
Exactly. Don't look at the machines behind our walls. And she's like, obviously these people are like cruel, kind of, right? They keep talking about having like quote unquote liberated these cities, but like who knows what actually happened. Anyways, sure enough, the next day, while Kayla's in a meeting, someone comes and gets her, and Thanos is like, hey, just so you know, it turns out that this march, and there are like people had actually sent some people to infiltrate our city, and that they knew that the civil mechs were here. And today, two of them, unprompted, attacked a civil mech. And the city guard killed the people who attacked the mech. Which, to be clear, ACAB, those cops shouldn't have done that. Okay? Not okay.
Now there's going to be a problem.
And there is a problem. And sure enough, like the rider comes back, like the little like emissary for this huge like marching party comes back and is like, hey, we know that you have mechs in there. We're here to liberate you from the evil monsters. Also, wait, they're more like, your city can't be saved. We were going to try to liberate you, but you're too entrenched with the monsters.
Jeez.
So we're just going to tear this whole place down unless you surrender and march all the monsters into the sea. And Kayla's like, literally, we know from the beginning of the story that she can't do that. Like, this is literally what's keeping the city alive, that like turned it around from them all just slowly starving to death to like having a chance at survival. And so Kayla's like, look, Thanos, you said that you could adapt these civil mechs into ones that could fight if you had to. Go do that. Because do you know what? We don't have any option except to fight these guys. Wow. Because I'm not going to like make them essentially just like force all my people to be turned over to their long marching column and go tear down the Iron Tower or whatever. Like, I'm not going to make them subjugate themselves to this giant marching column that like declares itself as some kind of like liberator from the machines, but they're actually doing something real shifty under there.
I mean, it's so confusing at the time because you're like, yeah, I guess machines were the reason for this giant war and downfall.
Yes, but they were a real bad time.
So if anybody was to say, oh, we should just get rid of machines and go back to life before machines, you'd be like, I understand.
There's a lot of reasons
the logic
to be like,
of that.
yes, I get it. But also Pendragon is specifically like, we were literally dying.
Yeah.
Until Thanos came and was like, I can make civil mechs. That literally he made mechs that didn't even, unless he adapted them, didn't even have the power to fight.
Yeah.
Like the one in the square was just attacked and did nothing.
Wow.
So anyways, and then they're like, okay, the
machines.
The marching people, the long column of marchers is like, we're gonna attack your city in the morning unless you change your mind. And Kayla's like, I'm not changing my freaking mind, man.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the chapter.
Wow. So we leave them with like, she's like, go turn these things into war machines again, buddy.
Exactly.
And the other people are like, well, you've got until the morning and then we unleash hell. And she's like, well, what about, you don't know about my hell that I'm unleashing you?
Exactly. But to be clear, they are like vastly outnumbered, right? This column has like 100,000 people in it and they have some machines and like 100 people. But they're going to try.
Okay, so where are we in this event of this story? Is this at the time concurrent with the Brothers War set that came out? Or is this like prehistory? Do you know?
This is post the actual war.
Okay.
So this is right. The war was raging.
Yep.
And part of what Thanos says when he comes back, he's like, FYI, Urza, it was a bad war. I understand that. Just so you know, Urza saved us all from becoming some kind of monster. He's like, Mishra had become some kind of monster, which is true, right? Mishra had become a Phyrexian.
Yes, yeah.
And had brought the Phyrexians. That was like part of the battle that was going on.
Okay.
And so he's like, Urza did something necessary. We all would have been Phyrexianized, essentially, though they didn't have that word at the time, if he hadn't done this. But everybody mad at both of the brothers because they brought this enormous war that ended with literally an explosion so big it messed up the entire plane.
Wow.
And then this is 5 years after that. So yeah, the Brothers' War precedes this.
Right, because we were playing with the cards Urza and Mishra in the Brothers' War. Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
What a banger of a way to start off chapter one of the story.
It was a really interesting story. I really enjoyed reading it.
It once again, super cinematic, and I could see that filmed.
It was super interesting too, to again, like I said, like we were talking about, having the set of people in the column who you're like, yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah, totally.
You're so mad at these machines, but then also saying like, oh, you can't hold that belief and be fundamentally unreasonable about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not able to see that this town was not going to survive without them, then like, what is your actual, like, what is the actual point of what you're doing?
Precisely. Your black and white belief is leaving no room
for like the people who are not surviving without this.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
So there you go.
Wow. Story time. What a great story time. We'll continue with the Brothers' War story as we work our way through this whole Phyrexian world we're living in.
Yeah. Spooky.
Which doesn't end until, I mean, who knows when, but certainly not until like at least the middle of
March of the Machines.
next year.
This year. Yeah, middle of this year. We're 6 months out from...
I still thought we were in December when I said that.
Fair enough.
I was still back in 2022.
Time's an illusion. It's time to say thank you to another sponsor of ours, Ultra Pro.
Ultra Pro.
And I just wanted to highlight again, like Ultra Pro thinking about the stuff that you need in your Magic life and making it. Because they have this little set, it's a 3-pack of a 15 card box, which 15 cards is the size of your sideboard.
Yep.
So you could tuck your little sideboard in here and then put it inside your deck box.
Oh, that's a great
to make sure
idea.
that it never gets mixed up
with
your regular deck. Or 3 of these makes 3 packs for a cube.
Oh, I love that.
So you can pre-make a little cube pack and make all of your little cube packs in these little boxes.
Oh, that's so smart.
And then at the end, you just repack them all.
Wow.
Isn't that so smart?
Make your own
make
booster
your own
pack.
Booster packs for cube. Use them to hold your sideboards inside your constructed decks. It's just so smart. It's just Ultra Pro sitting down and being like, what do Magic players actually need for the ways that they play their games?
Yeah, check it out. This is a very
so
cool product. Very
exactly.
So simple, and yet you're like,
so
why
simple,
did nobody think of
smart.
this?
Exactly. Haven't seen it before. Here it is. So cool.
So check them out. ultrapro.com is the website to go to. Use the code GLHF at checkout for 5% off whatever you buy. They've got a lot of sales going on now as we start off 2023. I keep getting new emails. They're like 50% off this, 50% off that. Mm-hmm. Remember, our code works on top of that 50% off. So you get 55% off or full price merch. You still get 5% off. So check them out. ultrapro.com. Use code GLHF at checkout for an extra discount. Hey friends, that's this episode of Good Luck High Five, episode 520, Blaze It.
Yes. Yep. Thank you once again to Aaron and Steven for making this episode happen. This one is all yours. I'm so excited for Dominaria Remastered draft.
Me too. It seems super sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you to our patrons. Like Meghan said, you can become a patron at patreon.com/GLHF Magic. We'd love to have you. And you can suggest stuff for us to talk about on the show. We are your meat puppets and we will do what you say. At least consider it.
Yeah, at least consider it.
But yeah, we're happy to
I like to
help
think
you
of
out.
myself more as a meat marionette.
I suppose, well, that's creepier.
It is creepier.
Marionettes are far creepier than puppets. Just putting that out there. If you disagree with me,
this is me doing my little marionette
I'm getting
dance.
scared right now.
Marionette.
I'm sitting. I think I found a new fear. I think I found a new fear. I went to sit on my hands. Why did I do that?
I don't know. You're creeped out.
What happened in my past life with a marionette? I was murdered by a marionette.
Wow.
What's creepier, a marionette or a ventriloquist dummy?
Ooh, great question. Weigh in on Twitter with the hashtag creepy puppets. Whether you think marionettes or ventriloquist dummies are spookier.
It's a tough one.
It's very tough.
But yeah, we'll see you back here, episode 521, where we have Phyrexia All Will Be One. Previews will be well underway, everybody.
Yeah.
Because they start this week on the 17th, and they've started already if you open some Dominaria Remastered packs.
Whoops.
So we'll see you back here next week.